Hello and welcome to my first podcast. My name is Max Röck, and this podcast is about my journey from mediocrity to mastery. You're listening to episode 6. Listen to your mind, not others. The story continues here. If you want to hear the full story, go back to episode 1. We are traveling back to the year 2011, early 2011 to be exact. I was 20 years old and just out of a relationship. Still living with my parents in their basement. I played ice hockey and soccer. A lot of video games at the time as well. From Monday to Friday, my days were usually getting to work, sitting all day in front of my laptop, getting back home and back to my personal computer to play video games. So my weeks mainly played in front of a computer screen, either for work or to kill time before the next day in going back to work, sitting in front of a computer screen again. My weekends were more like playing video games, playing ice hockey, partying at night. The weeks during that year started to change during the spring and summertime. In those months, playing soccer was replacing ice hockey, which meant I had less time to play video games because soccer training was 2 to 3 times a week plus a soccer game during the weekend. Video games has become a high priority to me in that time of my life, probably due to the fact that I was working in that industry. So I was working in the gaming industry with GameStop. And I also think it was a great escape from the reality, because the video game world is different and it's so much easier to control and master. Going out with friends, partying was great fun at the time, although the next days usually weren't that pleasant. I had headaches, I had to sober up. Hangovers aren't anything you can enjoy. And who can drink the most had been a real thing in 2011. And coma drinking was also big in the news, and many young adults woke up in hospitals where they had their stomachs pumped out just to sober up quickly. One night when I went out, I believe it was September or October, I got close to a woman and we danced, we kissed, and eventually I put my gut together and I asked her for her phone number just to realize that my battery on my cell phone just died. So I wasn't able to actually take her phone number. So what did I do at the time? So what should I do? I had no idea. So the only thing I was able to do was, give her my phone number. Which I also did that night. Then a few weeks later, maybe surprising, maybe not, she never ever called. But I remember that the friends she was out with at the night, they also knew my ex-girlfriend. And many thoughts came into my mind. What did they tell her? What could they have told her that she didn't even consider texting or calling me? But it also brought back into my mind the really important thought, which was, I know a few people she knows, so I can start looking her up on Facebook. It won't be hard to find her. So I started hunting down her Facebook profile, and I started going through the friends I knew she was friend with and go through their Facebook friend list, which at the time was quite easy because I think privacy wasn't anything big for Facebook at the time, and the friends list of mostly everyone were open and you could check them out and see who's befriended with who and go through that. But nevertheless, it wasn't easy to find her. I knew her first name, but that didn't bring me anything. I went through all the profiles with her first name on, which were friends with the friends she was in the club at that night. Weeks have passed, not knowing if she will even remember me at the time because we both were drinking heavily. So I thought, fuck it. Giving up wasn't any part of my vocabulary at the time and still isn't. So instead of focusing on her first name, I thought, well, let's go through all those friends lists again and look for profile pictures for a woman which looks like how I remembered her. Probably a month or more has been passed at that time until I came across that one profile. It wasn't a real name, and I had no clue what the profile name she used meant. But I knew I finally found her, and it was such a blessing for me at that day. Now I knew I had to message her, and she even texted me back surprisingly quickly. I didn't think she would even remember me. But a couple of days later, or even the day later, I'm not 100% sure anymore, we went out together, and we're together since. So while I'm recording that, she's sitting next door in the next room, and her Facebook name was the name of her cat, or now our beloved cat, which lives with us for the last years. And when you listen to this podcast episode, we are already together 7 years, 1 month and 23 days. It's crazy how quickly time flies if you spend it with someone which is right for you, which you like to spend time with, and you always love to have around you. So the learning from that story for me is, I'm not sure why she wasn't texting me earlier. I will probably have to bring her onto this episode and let her tell her version of that story and how it really was for her. But from my opinion, it was the outer voices of her friends, which perhaps talked bad about me, maybe not, told her I'm not the right person for her, and she simply didn't want to disappoint her friends. So she paid more attention, and it was more important of the perspective other people had on her than her own inner voice and how she really felt. If she would known that, she would have probably contacted me much earlier. So make sure you listen to your thoughts, your feelings, and don't let the outer voices take control of your life. But how to quieten those outer voices and listen to yourself? You probably know those times when we finally get the chance to relax, calm down, sit down, maybe even lying down. But our minds, they go everywhere. They're crazy. We have all those thoughts in our minds. We don't know what to think first, what to think next. We don't know how to stop thinking. We have all those to-dos in our minds, those lists we have to get done, things we have to remember, or even things we want to actually do, but we keep putting off because we never put it as our priorities. Our minds aren't meant to constantly perform at full speed. So we have that called monkey mind, which our mind jumps from various thoughts, and most of them aren't positive. So we have a lot of negative thoughts in our minds, which we jump between. Neuroscience tells us in order to be more peaceful, productive, and more creative, we need to give our brains a break. We have to calm them down. Think nothing. Let's do a small exercise together for this purpose. If you're driving or use any heavy machinery, pause now and come back to a later point. So now sit down or lie down, whatever feels more comfortable for you. Are you aware? So I'm gonna ask you that again. Don't answer this time. Are you aware right now? I'll ask you again. If it's safe, close your eyes. Are you aware right now? Bring your attention towards your breath. Full in, breathe fully in, and slowly out. We're gonna repeat that together 5 times. Keep your attention at your breath, and it's totally normal when your mind wanders. Breathe normal again. Don't manipulate your breath. And ask yourself, what do I really want? What am I grateful for? Just let it be. Open your eyes again. How do you feel? Calm, peace, quiet. As we spoke about our minds, and they aren't meant to work at full speed all the time. In order to not burn out and bring our minds what they're meant to be. Calm, peaceful and quiet. Calm isn't something we have, it is something we do. So we are not calm just because we have calmness in us. It's because we constantly are calm, do calm, focus, bring our attention to calmness. Anything we want in life, we have to do. It's not just we have it, it falls into place. We have to do it constantly. So to be more calm, mindful, we also have to do. And there's a process for anything. So I want to give you 5 tools to be more calm, more quiet, more aligned with your mind. Remember, quiet. Q-U-I-E-T. The Q stands for questions. The right questions are the answer. Ask yourself the right questions will bring you a long way. Who am I? Who do I want to be? What am I grateful for today? What am I most grateful for? What makes me happy? What do I need to feel most relaxed? What helps me release tension of the day? What was the best that happened to me today? Did you notice when you asked those questions, you brought your focus towards the topic you just asked yourself? So to redirect your focus and attention towards something positive, we just have to ask the right questions. The U in quiet stands for unplug. We need to disconnect to reconnect. In today's world, where notifications shatter our days in every place, there are billboards, smartphone notification, all those alerts, there are banners on any website, we barely are able to do anything and focus. All those distractions are part of our life. We're also in today's world being constantly available and working 24/7 is the common standard and is expected from so many workplaces. But science disagrees here. Working 24/7 isn't really good, and it also proves that disconnecting and relaxing actually increases productivity and performance. So therefore we have to unplug, relax, calm and take time off for ourselves. The I in quiet stands for integrate. So we need to integrate calmness into our 5 senses. So we have sight, hearing, taste, smell and touch. You may think, how should I be able to integrate calmness in our senses? But it's quite easy. If you remember, example, when you watch a horror movie, how the light gets darker and more quiet just before crazy scary part happens. At the shocking moment, the volume, the sound effects get very high. In that example, the film industry is using the sense of sight and hearing to increase our feeling of fear and use it for their purpose. So we have to pay attention to not let our senses mislead our thoughts and feelings. Our senses are important, but we have to use them for us, not against us. The E in quiet stands for exercise. Science has proven exercise is a great brain training. How we use that for us, so like I like running to take decisions because my mind becomes clear, thoughts can just float around. I also sometimes play a few holes of golf just by myself. It is very relaxing. The quiet nature and my thoughts just being able to wander and return back is such a relaxing feeling. So if there's something you have, we don't have much time in our busy days, but we take half an hour lunch, maybe 20 minutes to eat. Why not just grab a sandwich or whatever you eat and go out and walk sit down at a bench in nature, eat our sandwich and walk the rest of the lunch break. Walk around, let our minds wander and just enjoy the quiet. The T in quiet stands for transcendental meditation. It doesn't need to be that kind of meditation. I simply used it because it starts with an T. I recommend guided meditation to begin with because it makes it easier for you to focus and bring your mind back to focus when it wanders. There are great apps out there. I use personally Headspace, Insight Timer, as well as Calm. I'll put the links onto those websites where you can find links to either the Android or the iPhone apps into the show notes, so you can try them out and see what you think of them. If they are helpful for you, you will see they are really helpful for quieting your mind. The 5 tips in summary: remember quiet. Q stands for questions. U stands for unplug. I stands for integration. You want to integrate your senses into your mind and thought. E stands for exercise. T stands for transcendental meditation. If you want to quiet your mind, use those 5 techniques to help become more mindful. If you want more from your life and be more present and focused in the current moment, your mind needs to be more quiet. I am Max Röck. Thank you for listening. Until next time.